Everyone thinks sovereign AI means building your own ChatGPT. They're solving the wrong problem. I've built systems for some of the most regulated industries in the world. Here's what most people miss. Sovereign AI isn't about the model. It's about the administrative layer, the decisions, the accountability, the audit trail. You can use any frontier model you want as long as the governance wrapper is yours and it's airtight. The smartphone analogy works because phones are tangible. You can hold one. You understand what it does. Administrative AI needs that same level of concreteness. Right now, it's abstract. People say AI governance, and eyes glaze over. But the architecture isn't theoretical. It's specific. There are actual components: identity, workflow, audit. They fit together in a particular way. We're about to make that visible. The fork in the road is real, and most organizations don't even know they're at it. On one side, AI built for speed. Black box models, cloud dependencies, no transparency. Move fast, break things, outsource sovereignty to whoever's data center happens to be cheapest. On the other, AI built for accountability, auditable math, local execution, human authorization baked into the architecture, not bolted on later. Here's the part nobody wants to hear. If you don't choose accountability now, at the design stage, you don't get to add it later. The technical debt becomes institutional risk. And institutional risk in a regulated environment is career ending. Here's the structure. We'll walk through what administrative AI actually does, then unpack the sovereign stack, look at how you survive the automation shift, break down real costs and timelines, and end with the blockers nobody talks about. Think of this as the blueprint. Let's start with use cases. Governments buy things. That's not new. What's new is how AI can handle the mechanics while humans hold the line on accountability. Estonia is running end-to-end digital procurement right now. AI verifies vendors, extracts pricing tables, scores bids. But a human authorizes every contract. India's direct benefit transfer program uses AI to validate eligibility and explain decisions in local languages. Humans review the ambiguous cases. Rwanda cut licensing approvals from weeks to hours. AI checks compliance and routes requests. Humans decide. The pattern is consistent. AI proposes. AI documents, but humans authorize. That's not a compromise. That's the architecture. The human in the loop isn't a safety theater add-on. It's what makes the system defensible when something goes wrong. And in government systems, something always does. Now let's talk about how you actually build this. You don't build sovereign AI by writing a check to a hyperscaler and hoping for the best. There are 4 layers: policy grounding, the rules, processing engine, open weight models. Think of them as AI blueprints you run on your own servers, no subscription required. Accountability architecture, an immutable record of every decision. And data sovereignty. Your citizens' data never crosses a border. Most governments skip straight to the model and wonder why they're stuck. The stack isn't complicated, but you have to build it in order, or you end up with a system that's sovereign in the PowerPoint and captive in production. Let me translate policy grounding, because it sounds like jargon and it's actually the entire game. You're not feeding the AI a pile of messy PDFs and hoping it figures things out. You're building a structured knowledge base where every policy clause gets a stable, unique identifier. When the AI makes a recommendation, it doesn't guess. It cites the exact legal authority. Clause 7.2.3, Section 14. B. The specific rule that applies. That's what makes the system auditable. Not aspirationally auditable, mathematically auditable. Let's talk about Australia's robo-debt disaster because it's the cautionary tale nobody wants to be. The system was built for convenience, not accountability. The algorithm made wildly inaccurate assumptions about income, assumptions that violated actual law. Human oversight was removed entirely for some of the most vulnerable populations. The result? Nearly 800,000 false debt notices automatically generated. Families attributed suicides to the stress. The Australian government paid $1.8 billion in legal settlements. A tragic, completely preventable mess. This is what happens when you skip the accountability layer and go straight to automation. You don't get efficiency, you get liability at scale. Lewy-Haller's robo-debt versus accountability by design. The architecture that could have prevented disaster. That's the contrast. Robo-debt was a black box, opaque, stripped of human oversight. And when citizens complained, the institutions fought back. Now imagine if Australia had built it the other way. Policy grounding, like we just walked through. The gap between actual law and the AI's bad assumptions would have lit up in the system logs immediately. Mandatory review triggers would have caught it before the first false notice went out. That's what structural transparency does. It prevents catastrophic harm before it scales. The design choice isn't philosophical, it's architectural, and it determines whether you're building a system or a liability engine. The real cost? $15,000 to $35,000 for an initial pilot. Hardware, integration, fine-tuning an open-weight model on your own servers. That's not a rounding error in a cloud contract. That's a line item. You don't need to write a blank check to a hyperscaler to do this right. You need to stop assuming sovereignty is expensive because someone selling you dependency told you it was. When you're ready to scale a full ministry-wide deployment, hardware redundancy, multiple use cases, the whole stack costs $70,000 to $145,000. That's not a budget. That's a laptop refresh. Compare that to $5 million a year. That's what legacy systems cost just to keep the lights on. Personnel, processing overhead, maintenance theater. A one-time ceiling of $145,000 versus millions in annual burn. The math isn't close. This is what actually compresses institutional cost. Not incrementally, by orders of magnitude. The espresso machine finally has running water. Yes. Sovereign AI timeline. 12-month deployment versus the 5-year transformation roadmap. Here's the best part. You don't need a decade. This is a 12-month deployment. Months 1 and 2. Digitize policy, pick your open weight model. Months 3 and 4. Fine-tune and test in parallel with human workers. Months 5 and 6. Limited launch, where any discrepancy triggers human review immediately. Months 6 through 12. Full deployment, publishing your metrics in real time. This isn't a 5-year transformation roadmap, which is a 12-month plan to start planning. This is deployable now, so what's actually stopping this? Section 5. The real blockers, and they're not technical. The truth is, the technical barriers don't exist anymore. The models are commodity. The hardware is cheap. The integration patterns are well understood. Every real blocker is human, political, and cultural. Procurement rules written for last century's software. Vendor lobbies terrified of rent-free AI. Labor concerns that require actual engagement, not platitudes. Legal frameworks like the EU AI Act that need updating. And this is the big one, institutional resistance to any system that forces absolute structural transparency on every decision being made. Transparency isn't a feature when you've spent decades optimizing for the opposite. So the technology is ready. The question is whether the institution is. The only question left. Do we have the will to build accountable AI? Here's where I'll leave you. If you work anywhere near government oversight, ask yourself, which process in your world is the biggest black box right now? Where do decisions lack explanations and citizens can't get answers? The technology to crack that open exists today. It's affordable. We can build it with real accountability baked in. So the only question left is whether we have the will to actually do it. The people who understand this early will have an unfair advantage. Follow for more.